tell us a little bit about, tell us how your caregiving journey, with your mom, how it happened and what ultimately led to your development of the mobility towel.
As a young child, I remember my mom had rheumatoid arthritis. And so I can remember, probably being, I think it was my 5th birthday. I remember my mom being in the hospital for something. And just growing up, I don't know that I really grasped everything in her limitations that she had because of her arthritis. But I remember my dad having to give her, back in the day, gold shots and yeah, and all of that. And just remember her, she had a wonderful attitude, and that made all the difference. So there was never any focus on her limitations, but I know we would kind of not make fun, but there were times when, in the day when parents would spank, we would joke, that my mom really couldn't spank us because her fingers were fused in her wrist. She really couldn't get a good slap, But let me tell you, her grip had some strength because she could pull your hair like nobody's business if you needed it. She wasn't always a good disciplinarian, but when she did, boy, she had that grip strength to
That's awesome.
hair. So, but as I grew older and more in probably college, she started having, she had her first hip replacement in 1984. And it was during that time in 1984, back at that time, and I think there's still some similarities. She had that foam piece she had to wear between her legs and then be rolled every 2 hours. And because of her arthritis, she couldn't roll herself. And so I slept at the foot of the bed, and then every 2 hours we were rolling her over. And, again, you talk about opportunities and moments that can either drain you or you can use them for good. And good conversations at 4 a.m. when we were rolling over. And it was one of those mornings where probably about 4 a.m. we rolled over, and then she said, "I have a favor to ask." I said, "Okay." She said, "Will you shave my legs tomorrow?" And I thought, yeah, that's fine. And so she rolled over. I got back on the floor and was laying there, and we had the TV on all the time. And I kept thinking, I want to figure out how she can do it for herself.
Right.
One of these commercials came on, that one where it hits the rock. Do you have an idea or invention? And I thought,
oh yeah,
to me, like, I need to do something. So I was excited. The next morning we got up, and I got a yardstick, and I taped it right to the end of it and thought, "Oh, Mom, try this. You'll be able to do it for yourself." And in theory, it was a great idea, but it didn't work at all because it was just one straight thing. And unless she could stand up and get an angle, it wasn't working. So that led into my first invention and patent and all of that. But then she continued, she had hip revision surgery, which has a lot more restrictions, other hips, knees replaced. But in 1998, she had a AVM, arterial venous malformation. And, it really, for a number of months, she was really debilitated. It affected her balance and her movement. And I thought I could cook until every time I gave her something to eat, she didn't keep it. She gave it back to me. So, learning that way. But it became my goal to look at what she could do and figure out a way that she didn't have to ask for everything that she needed. I wanted to try to anticipate, and there was a fine of what she needed, but there was a fine balance of how far is too much to enable.
Right.
Not, in my good-heartedness, I want to do for her.
Right.
But is it really becoming a detriment if she could do some things for herself? So balancing that took a lot. And I think watching my dad, I didn't always appreciate how he did things or what he did, because he was so good at, letting her do, and I say letting her do because he didn't make her, but he wasn't,
encouraged.
she did everything.